Hello, makeup lovers and others, and welcome back to Contour and Candor. Today, it's going to be a little controversial. So I'm going to talk about weight, like physical body weight, eating disorders, and obesity. So if you have, if that's a sensitive subject for you, eating disorders in particular, please feel free to just, skip this one, and I will certainly understand. But I did want to address it. It's been a huge part of my life. So let's get into it. Here is the story. When I was almost 13, I moved from Pittsburgh, outside of Pittsburgh, cute little town called Wexford. Shout out to all my Wexford people. North Hills, you know who you are. And moved up to Massachusetts. So this was, I've talked about a little bit, the culture shock of that. What I haven't talked about was it sort of broke something in me. Up until that point, I had always been a just naturally thin child. Played a lot of sports, ran around the backyard, the neighborhood with my brother and our friends, and it's what we did. But I never had any recollection of compulsive eating. I do remember as a child thinking it was strange that my best friend in childhood, Bridget Woods, now Bridget Woods Pagone, her mom kept Oreo cookies in a Tupperware. And I remember thinking how strange that was, because in our house, food, sweets, sugar was hidden. Like, it was always hidden. You couldn't just go and have a cookie. So I do remember thinking that was strange, and that there was a different relationship with sugar in her house than in our house. But I never really, I wasn't a binger, wasn't a sugarholic, nothing like that. When I moved up here, I was deeply depressed. And just it was a terrible time. Again, 13 is everything's bad when you're 13, right? If you're a girl in particular. So, but yeah, add on that, leaving behind everything you know, everyone but your immediate family and your dog, who's immediate family. But yeah, it was a really, really rough time. You know what? I think I put that away too soon. I need to, sorry, dropping. Anyway, so I can vividly remember sitting in our family room, watching soap operas and eating a bag of Lay's potato chips, and just like soothing myself with food. But then started school. That was hard and horrible. I moved schools after a year, and that was the saving grace. I ended up at Sacred Heart, this small Catholic school, and it kind of saved me. I've talked a little bit about that before, so I won't get into it too much, but yes, I did find some of my people, made friends, and things got better, and time helps, and just acceptance of, like, this is where I am, and I can't do anything about it because I'm a kid and I can't move back as much as I might have wanted to, and I did want to desperately. Somebody asked me about this. It's the e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wand Contour. And this is in the shade Fairlight. It's the best. Highly recommend. Anyway, so throughout my teens, I really had periods of struggle with food. And so I put on a little bit of weight, nothing terrible. Someone did say to me in high school, a boy I didn't really even like, he wasn't like one of my crushes or anything, but I can vividly picture where I was. I was on the stairs down to the old gym, and as opposed to the new gym that my mom helped build, fundraised for. But anyway, I remember him saying, I was eating a candy bar, and he said, "Don't eat that, you're fat." And that was like the start of me. So I don't blame him, but it sort of triggered something in me. And so I started restricting my food, and I was very, looking back, it was a form of anorexia. But I would count the number of grapes I would have for when I would pack my lunch. Certain number of grapes, certain number of slices of cheese, certain number of crackers, and slices of pepperoni. And that was it. That was my meal. And I ate that every single day. I didn't eat breakfast, and I didn't eat anything, not a mint between meals. And then I'd eat a small dinner. And I started exercising like a crazy person. So I lost a lot of weight. Not to the point where I looked, sick or anything. Sorry, I'm pulling out a picture, but this was me. That was me. I was a very healthy looking person, but not psychologically healthy when it came to food. I competed in the Miss Massachusetts pageant. That's me right there, Miss Duxbury Beach. But I was very, very thin. And it wasn't sustainable. Nobody can live on 6 grapes and etc. So I gained a little back, but I gain and I'd lose, and I gain and I'd lose. And by the time I graduated from high school, I was what I thought was fat. Not really fat. I'd kill to be that size today. But I was like a size 12, which I'm 5'7", and I have what my doctors have described as like incredibly large bones. I know people say that I'm big boned, but I actually am. So yeah, so at the picture that I just showed you in the bathing suit, I was a size 8, and I was probably I was too thin. The doctor actually would have said I was too thin, I'm sure, because given my bone structure, that's not enough weight for me. I think the lowest I got down was like 120 something, like low 120s. That's not good for somebody my size. Anyway, so I went to college, and I felt big. I started swimming every day at college. I want to say I started swimming, it might have been first semester sophomore year, my last semester at my first college. And I still struggled with food, but mostly I was still trying to control everything. And it worked. I ate more food for sure. I was not nearly as unhealthy as I was in high school in terms of my eating, but always a struggle. Then I was diagnosed with lupus on my 22nd birthday. Yay. And so food, eating, weight sort of took a backseat to staying alive. But again, gained, lost, gained, lost. It's kind of the story of my 20s. By the time I went to grad school at 27, I was a fairly healthy weight. Oh, wait, by then I had gone to acting school. And I remember when I was in acting school in Los Angeles, again, after college, before grad school, being told by a teacher I respected, acting teacher I really respected, that I should go to New York because I was too big for LA. Again, probably size 10 at that point, which is super healthy for me at my size. That would be a great size for me. Actually, that's not even my goal. My goal is a 12 again. So that's kind of funny, right? I was too big at a smaller size than my goal size. Anyway, but that stuck with me, that I was this big girl. And like, if you looked at me, you would have thought I was probably an 8 because of just the way clothes fit me. I always looked a little bit smaller just because of the way I'm shaped and my bones, and etc. So yes, I went on tour, did a play, had the lead role in a national tour, was great, except for when it wasn't. And when it wasn't, it was, so it's really hard to be on tour with, you don't get to pick your people when you're on tour. I had a very nice cast for the most part, really did. But it was really hard for me. My character was supposed to be this beautiful woman, and they're talking the whole time about how beautiful she is. And of course, I don't feel that. I could look in the mirror and be like, I am not Christy Turlington, that's for sure. So, yeah, I just really had a struggle, and it was on tour that I became bulimic. And I do things, I'm an overachiever. So I wasn't one of those people who started out slowly and over months and years ramped up. No, I was a full-blown bulimic from day one, basically. Maybe day 2. And I really struggled. And of course, I'm on tour. So we're eating, you have very little control of where you eat. We're eating at like dinery places, Sizzlers, just places with volume of food, but not necessarily great quality of food. No offense to Sizzler. I love a good steak. But yeah, so that was a challenging time, and that was part of the reason I left acting at that point, mostly because my kidneys started having problems, and I really needed good health insurance, and I was never going to have that as an actor. So yeah. All right, so from there, then I went to grad school, was a pretty healthy weight, had the bulimia. I had stopped that, but then during grad school, I was putting on weight, and that was a scary time. I was not going to go back in my mind. was not going to go back to the bulimia. So I just put on weight, and so I started as like a 12, and I probably graduated as a 16, size 16. And then, went to work, stresses of work, living through 9/11, while living in DC. I was doing okay, but not great. And then I took what should have been my dream job, and kind of was my dream job. It in so many ways it was. And moved to Atlanta, but I never felt good enough at the firm that I was in. I worked in a firm that served amazing ministries from all over the world, and I was really good at my job. But I never felt good enough for the leadership of that firm, the president in particular. I never felt I was too loud, too emotive, too opinionated, just too much all around. And so I was there for a very long time, and I saw people get promoted above me, who were male. And I felt very used in a way, like they needed someone to start a social media practice. Okay, well, I can do that. I'll do that. They needed someone to start a branding practice. I did that. Like, okay, I love branding. That's just cool. I'm going to do that. So I had these wins for the company. I would write RFPs, responses to requests for proposals. I'd write the proposals. I'd pitch it. We'd win business. I was entrusted with important clients, and I appreciated that very much. But when it came time to decision making for the firm, I never had input at all. And the fact that I wanted to have that was seen as unspiritual and unwelcome, basically. Ambition was a dirty word. You had to be, and I wasn't ambitious for the sake, like I just wanted new challenges. I wanted to grow, and I wanted to say, I wanted to, like, I think it's pretty natural, and I felt like, you know what, I earned it. I felt like I earned it. I had clients that I loved, who loved me, and they would grow, my accounts were growing, like they weren't shrinking. Even when the economy was bad, they stayed with us, and they often increased their retainers. And, we were asked, I didn't understand why the president of a multi-million-dollar international ministry would welcome my counsel, and my own little firm didn't. And it just was so jarring. Okay, I'm getting into a whole other thing. But so during that time, with all of that, I put on a ton of weight. And it was such a hard time. And the bigger I got, the less respected I felt, because it felt like spiritual failure to be putting on weight, because that's gluttony. That's not right? But it was self-soothing. It was frustration that had to go somewhere. And I don't drink. So thank God I don't drink, because I would have been a raging alcoholic, which runs in the family. So luckily everybody's sober. Praise God. Everybody who needs to be sober. But yeah, so I put on a ton of weight. And then I joined Weight Watchers, and I lost, I think, 75 pounds that time, maybe 80. But again, it was about control. It was something I can control, and it was about competition. I wanted to have the biggest weight loss numbers every week, and I generally did. So yeah, and then I don't know what happened, but it ended, and I just got away from it, and the weight came back. I ended up taking a job down in, putting things away, in coastal Georgia, which is my favorite place, where I still think of as home, and hope to go back to. But yeah, so I had gained so much weight, and then when I was down there, I joined a Weight Watchers group again, and I lost probably 75 pounds. Then I don't know, so much happened. A lot of things happened. Went through 3 presidents in 3 years, and the president who gave me the seat at the table I had been dying for left. And the replacement didn't want to hear from me. I had to go through a chain of command again, and which is fine, it's appropriate, but it just felt like I had, and then it was taken away. So I put on a ton of weight again. Then COVID happened, and I had to change jobs. Moved to Columbia, South Carolina, so left my beloved island, and was heartbroken over that. I had a wonderful boss whom I loved so much. They had a great president, but I just felt so alone and lonely, and not where I wanted to be. And just my role was very isolated. It was there wasn't a lot of interaction. And I would sit in my office, and I would feel like I could be sitting at home with my dog, and I get the same work done. Instead, I have to drive to a place I don't like. The neighborhood was a little rough, and it just felt, I don't know, trapped. Put on more weight. Moved back to the island. Again, should have been a dream job. Oh, that one. Oh my goodness. Why? And I kept saying, why did you hire me? You won't let me do my job. That was a terrible time. I probably shouldn't say that, but it was a terrible time. The boss was a lovely man who did not want me, basically did not want my job, did not want me to be doing my job. They had never had my role before, and I don't know what he thought he was hiring, but he was not hiring somebody who had my level of experience. I mean, I was supposed to defer to every outside consultant and not have an opinion. Y'all have watched this enough, I have an opinion. It's called Contour and Candor. I'm going to tell you what I think. And I'm not a mean person. I'm a nice person, I think. I hope, I pray, I try to be. But again, it just felt like, and I went from a job where the boss was amazing, who loved me, who thanked me for my work, who wanted to hear what I thought. And even though I was fairly isolated and there were other issues, he was definitely not one of them. He was amazing. And the president of the college was phenomenal. Just so much that was good there. And I felt like I was going to go from Like the job wasn't the problem, where I was living was the problem. And so now I was going to go to a job where I'd have the opportunity to do great work and in the place that I want to be. Perfect, right? Dream job. Disaster. It was so unsettling, and I tried so hard, but I got so depressed. And when I get depressed, I eat. And so I packed on weight. God is good, because I had an opportunity that was like heaven sent to work for amazing people, to run my own deal. Like, I was the chief marketing officer. I finally was like, had a seat at the table of leadership in decision making, and it was phenomenal. I really loved the job. I loved the people, but I was so unhealthy and didn't realize just how unhealthy I was. And that is when I had a heart attack, which ironically, having packed on all that weight, you would think, oh, well, of course you had a heart attack, you're obese. Well, it was more complicated than that. I had normal blood pressure. I had normal blood work. I was pre-diabetic. That was the weight. But everything else to do with my heart looked really good. And so later we find out it's really lupus that drove the heart issue, as far as we can tell. You never know 100%, but that is the most likely scenario there. But I mean, the weight certainly did not help. And it limited my life greatly, just in terms of the energy I had to live my life, being winded all the time, just so unhealthy. So when I was in the hospital, I lost a good deal of weight. When you spend 2 months in a hospital, it'll do that, especially when the food is inedible. That helps. And there's no binging in the hospital. There's no, you can hardly eat. I won't get into all of it, but yeah, couldn't keep food down, let's just say. So by the time I got out of the hospital, am I pretty finished? Oh, my sister was funny. She was like, you didn't blend your neck. Yes, I did. I know afterwards, because I do check afterwards. So thank you, though. But yeah, so after recovery, during recovery from all of that, I was losing weight, gained some back, but still stayed well below my highest weight. And then came the Ozempic movement or onset debut. So I did try Ozempic. It did not work for me. I tried one other one, Wegovy maybe, whichever one, just a straight GLP-1. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my voice. Hope I'm not getting sick, because I don't want to be. But, excuse me. No one needs to see that. But yeah, so I, after trying 2 other ones, I finally got put on Zepbound, or tirzepatide. And for the first time in my adult life, I did not realize, I knew that I had like compulsive feelings, and I knew that. But I had no idea that there was such a thing as food noise until it got turned off. I've since done some research, and maybe that'll be a part 2 about what I've learned about tirzepatide and why it has worked for me. So from my highest weight, the day that I had the heart attack, to today, I've lost 105 pounds. I have a little bit more to go. I have about 25 to 30 pounds more to go. And then we'll see. Maybe I'll decide I want another 10 pounds, but not in a crazy anorexic, not that anorexics are crazy. It's just a disease like any other disease. And the same with obesity. It's a disease like any other disease. It just comes with more baggage, more shame, more judgment. And it shouldn't. So yeah, I'll do a part 2 on tirzepatide, kind of how it's worked for me and how it's changed kind of what it's like to live in this world. I'm so grateful, which is why if you've watched my earlier video about the insurer's decision to not pay for it anymore, why that is so heartbreaking to me, devastating, and why I'm appealing it. No decision yet, but we'll see. Anyway, right now I'm self-paying for tirzepatide, and it's worth it. It's the most life-changing medication. I mean, other than the things that literally keep me alive, it has changed the quality of my life so much. And anyway, we'll talk about that in the next video. So thank y'all for joining me. Hope you have a great day. And remember, God loves you, and I really appreciate you. Bye.